are a couple of questions I really enjoy asking people. One, I started asking when I was a therapist, even before I became familiar with access consciousness. And I had a practice in addiction mainly, although of course people would come in, there's some anxiety, depression, all kinds of things. So someone would come into my office and I'd always say, so, what brought you in here? And they'd say something like, I'm just depressed. And I would say, how do you know? And how do you know is one of my favorite questions, because what it brings up is that, well, my doctor told me, well, I think I have these symptoms. Well, and another question that would go with that, but not at that time, a little later on, is whose depression is that anyway? Because we'll pick up those things from family members. Right now, a lot of people are picking up a franticness and anxiety, all kinds of things, because the insanity of what's going on in America and other countries, we're global. It affects everybody. And if you're not very aware of questions like, who does this belong to? You can just stick yourself with all kinds of things. So that is one series of questions. I also ask often, what's right about you you're not getting? Or if you weren't judging yourself, what would you be aware of? That's one of my favorite ones, because judgment is always destructive. What if you had allowance for yourself right now rather than judging it? What if you were willing to be aware? What if you were willing to be present? What's the value of avoiding this? All kinds of things like that. I just think questions are one of the ways to really get to what's going on with you and other people. They bring up energies, and they have to be open-ended. They can't be, I don't even ask closed-ended questions generally anymore, but things like, what would it take for me to have a 2026 black BMW? That's not really a question. What would it take for me to have an expansive car, a car that's really expansive and fun for me and something I can afford? Questions have to be more general so that they can bring things up. And if we've already decided on the answer, it really doesn't work very well. So keep your questions general for yourself, for others, and use questions all the time.